The call came in at 11:47 p.m. A chest pain on Ridgeline Drive turned out to be acid reflux. Guy was home by midnight. That's the job. You drive hard, you work it up, you hand them off to the ER, and you're already thinking about the next one. But by 12:30 a.m., I was leaning against the rig with my hands on my knees, sweating through my uniform in 50-degree air, and my partner Sal was asking me if I needed to go home. I'd eaten a gas station burrito on my break. I know. The nausea had started around 10. By midnight, it was the kind that sits behind your back teeth and doesn't ask permission. Sal drove me home and said he'd cover the rest of the shift with Williams. I told him I owed him one. He told me to go drink ginger ale and stop being a hero. I wasn't thinking about anything except getting horizontal. That was the whole plan. Get through the front door, get out of the boots, lie down. The house was dark. Not just unlit, dark in a way that takes a second to register. No TV glow through the curtains. No little nightlight bleeding under the bathroom door. Mia always kept the bathroom nightlight on because our daughter Cora had just turned 2 and sometimes wandered. The whole house was just black and quiet. I stood in the entryway for a few seconds trying to logic my way through it. Maybe she'd put Cora down early. Maybe she'd gone to sleep herself. Maybe the nightlight had burned out. Then I walked down the hall to check Cora's room, and the crib was empty. I'm a paramedic. I've stood in front of people on the worst days of their lives and stayed level. But standing in my daughter's room at 2 a.m. looking at an empty crib, that's a different gear. That's not training, that's just a dad. I went next door in 30 seconds flat. I knocked maybe harder than I needed to. Sandra answered in a bathrobe, hair loose, looking like I'd woken her from a dead sleep. She blinked at me a couple times. Behind her, I could see the living room lamp on, and Cora was on the couch in her little footed pajamas, dead asleep, cheek mashed into one of Sandra's throw pillows. "Jake," Sandra said, and her voice did something, a half-second of recalibration, like she was picking the right face. "I didn't know you were coming home early." "I got sick," I said. "Where's Mia?" She told me Mia had an emergency errand. That was the phrase she used. Emergency errand. Said it around 10 p.m., needed Sandra to watch Cora, said she'd be back soon. I looked at my daughter. I looked at Sandra. I said thanks and picked Cora up off the couch. Cora didn't even wake up. Just made a small sound and grabbed my shirt collar and went right back under. 2 years old and already trusting me completely. That hit different right then. I carried her home and put her back in her crib and sat in the rocking chair in the corner of her room for a while in the dark. The problem with emergency errand at 10 p.m. wasn't just that it was vague. It was that Sandra said Mia would be back soon. It was now 2 in the morning. That's a 4-hour errand. And if there had been a real emergency, Mia would have called me. She knew I was on shift. She had my number. If something was wrong with family, with a friend, with anything real, I was the first call. That's how we worked. Or how I thought we worked. I went to the kitchen and made myself some tea because my stomach was still a wreck and I couldn't think of anything better to do. I sat at the kitchen table. The tea got cold. I didn't drink much of it. She came in at 3:07 a.m. I heard the key in the lock and I didn't move. She pushed the door open and stepped into the entryway and then saw the kitchen light on and froze for just a beat. Then she came in. "Jake," the surprise in her voice was real, I'll give her that, or real enough. "What are you doing home?" "Food poisoning," I answered. "Sal drove me." "Oh my God," she said, setting her purse down. "Are you okay?" "I've been better. Where were you?" She said she'd gone to the 24-hour pharmacy on Crestwood to get me medicine. She'd seen my text, the one I'd sent around midnight saying I was coming home sick, and wanted to have something ready. She pulled out a plastic bag from her purse, set it on the counter. Ginger ale, saltines, some antacid tablets. It was a good prop, I'll give her that too. Here's what she didn't know I was already doing. I was running a timeline in my head the way I run them at a scene. You sequence events, you look for gaps. Sandra said Mia left around 10 p.m. My text went out at midnight. Mia said she went to the pharmacy because of my text. Those two things can't both be true. She left 2 hours before she knew I was sick. And the Crestwood pharmacy is 12 minutes away. Round trip, 25, even if she browsed every aisle. She'd been gone over 4 hours. I didn't say any of that. I just nodded and said that was thoughtful of her and I was going to try to sleep.